to start this video off. I've tried to film for like 10 minutes now, and I just keep talking about the same points, and I really shouldn't because I get off on tangents because I get maybe, I'm a little disappointed, perhaps even a tad bit angry about the NERF Alpha Strike Line and everything it is and represents, because this is, well, a good idea, especially for Hasbro, because it's a budget blaster line, just like my video back in January when we saw the pictures, the leaked pictures of the Alpha Strike line, and we kind of thought, well, I thought at least it would be a budget blaster line, because that's kind of what it looked like, especially with how all the blasters primed and whatnot, and sure enough, it was. This being a $5 blaster, $4.80 something plus tax, that I picked up at my local Walmart, and, well, it's probably the only blaster in the line I will ever pick up willingly, and to be perfectly honest, it's probably the only blaster in the line that's worth getting at all. But the biggest issue with this is that this is clearly a sign of a problem that Hasbro currently has. All of the NERF blasters are getting way too expensive. Most of them are reshells, and they're not very exciting, and it's just getting worse and worse when you buy a $30 blaster that was a $15 blaster before, just with extra stuff added to it that, well, don't do anything. It's usually just cosmetics, and that's an issue. That is a big issue, and I think Hasbro is starting to feel the squeeze from X-Shot and BuzzBee and, of course, Dart Zone by now plastering #1 blaster brand on this package. And what about this makes it the #1 blaster brand besides just the fact that it has the NERF logo on it? Because honestly, it doesn't, and I want to blow a couple of young minds out there with the fact that I've had this for months, and you can still pick this up in Walmart, and this is the Adventure Force Hypershot, also known as the Xuru Kickback, and this is a $4 blaster, $3.90 something cents plus tax. Now there is a discrepancy here, because of course Hasbro owns the patent to the whole Smart AR system. That's good. However, the problem with that is that this is the only blaster I've seen so far that actively uses this system for anything besides having 2 shots. 2 shots, it don't really matter. 4 shots, that's pretty good, because this blaster right here is $10, it's, you know, $9 something with tax, and, well, it's pretty much the same thing. Except for this is way better in every single way. Also moddable. These aren't moddable. This is. That's another thing. So honestly, for like, yeah, get the kids something to shut them up, sure. And #1 blaster brand, well, we can't go wrong with that, even though I've never trusted a product that will advertise and brag for itself. That doesn't work for me, Hasbro. Might work for little kids, it doesn't work for me. I think putting the NERF logo on it was good enough, but I can't sing praises about this blaster enough. Shoots up to 90 feet, which a young kid doesn't need, and hopefully this doesn't shoot all that hard. I'm not gonna dock it points for not shooting that hard, because kids need blasters too, and kids don't need something that shoots up to 90 feet. That being said, oh, the Fang. 4-dart blasting, and the funniest part about this entire thing, comes with 10 darts. It's a very recent thing that Hasbro even gave us a couple of more darts for our blasters, so we don't immediately drain them and, you know, you lose one and that's it. For example, I'm almost positive the quad rod only came with 4. I could be wrong, maybe it came with 8, but back in the day, you used to only get the blaster and enough darts to fill it up once and you're good to go. Meanwhile, these off-brands have been giving us dozens and dozens of extra darts. This is a single shot, comes with 8. You can buy things like the, what is that thing? The Adventure Force version of the Turbo Advance, and that thing comes with tons of darts. More darts, like 2-3 drums worth. It's incredible. And I think that's a very good idea, and now Hasbro is jumping into that. Alright, let's get this thing out of its package. 10 darts and the blaster itself. And it's nice, small, compact. Well, it's got the same trigger system as a Jolt, which is a little interesting, but other than that, I like the shape of it. I hate the grip. This is terrible. Everybody knows this is terrible. That's not going to surprise anyone. But overall, the top of it feels really solid. It's a nice, like, flat pistol, which is what I really appreciate, because I just like square, boxy handguns, and, well, it's slightly smaller than the good old quad rod here, but this being an absolutely amazing blaster that I think just about anybody should get. This, I'm not seeing any of the value here. So for a small child, again, probably a good idea. But for anybody else, I would say, probably not a good idea, but I haven't even fired it yet, and of course there are no range claims on the box whatsoever. The darts are the stereotypical NERF Elite darts that have been the bane of our existences for years. These ones have a W marked on them, for whatever that means, and it does actually have the NERF logo printed on the head of the dart, which is pretty interesting. The barrel fit is honestly really tight. In fact, I have to push the dart in quite a bit to kind of bring down those smart AR systems, and the prime, not too heavy, although I don't know if you can see that. That's a little interesting of the O-ring right there, but it's been primed. Fire it. And like I kind of expected, it hits okay. It hits what I would say standard NERF. In fact, we can test this with this new fancy technology known as a chronograph. 68.5. 64.6, 65.6, and that one double red, but it was in the low 60s. So about what I would expect. Very similar to the quad rot. Extra darts are nice, price point is nice. I was actually worried something like this would cost $10 when it comes to Hasbro, or 7 or 8 actually would be probably just a little bit to undercut the quad rot here, but this is probably the only blaster that's actually a deal. Because again, the Hyper Shot here actually offers you play features, which I think is more important to kids, is cheaper, is way more comfortable, way cooler looking, again, boxy shape, I like that, and let's not forget, dumb powerful. In fact, let's open this up right here. 74.7, not exactly that much better, but was considerably better. 74.1, you get the idea. Smaller. And most importantly, in my opinion, this is moddable. You can take this blaster apart. This blaster, you really can't. In fact, as far as I know, basically every single one of the Alpha Strike blasters are completely screwless. They don't even seem to really have springs besides the main propulsion mechanism. This is essentially a jolt-style catch using a plastic spring on it. And, well, yes, this one would be technically better as a deal because, of course, it has the smart AR system on it. But the problem is that this is the only blaster that I think is worth anything, because when you get into things like, let's say, the Cobra, which is a 6-shot rotating turret revolver, well, that is $10. You can go to Walmart and pick up the Adventure Force Destroyer for like $6. And it's not only more powerful, but it has a actual physical grip and everything like that with it instead of all this cheap stuff on it. And, of course, it's moddable. And this, again, has the cool little play feature that I think is really nifty. And if you had to use something in a war or something like that, I mean, both of these are perfectly serviceable, but if I threw a Reflex 6 on the table, or again, the Adventure Force Destroyer, the Adventure Force Destroyer would be better in every single possible facet, and it just gets worse and worse from there. And I honestly, I can't recommend people pick these up, and what really bothers me about this entire thing is that it's basically trying to sell itself on the fact that it has the NERF logo on it and it says #1 blaster brand on it. And honestly, the way these are designed is really intriguing because they're obviously all just clipped together things. The smart AR system in the factory, they just clipped that on. The top section of this, which you can basically pull off, I mean, it might be clipped on a little bit tougher up here, which it is, but I could pry that apart if I wanted to. Or I could just pull it off like that. And then, of course, I can pull these two indents out and pull out this entire plunger tube because it's all molded together like that. But there's pretty much not much mod potential for anything like this, and if you do that too many times, it's just going to eventually, those clips aren't going to be able to contain themselves, and it's just not great at all. It's cool how they designed it, that's for sure, but it's not going to be good for somebody who wants to do a modification. But it hits standard elite ranges. Kids are going to be really happy. Is this still ages 8 and up? Yep, same ages 8 and up, but honestly, hits a little bit lighter than something like this, so it might be a better idea, but that's my opinion on the Alpha Strike. I don't like it. at all. Especially since they're really trying to cheap out where they possibly shouldn't. And things like this grip and all this hollow plastic in here, it feels cheap. It feels cheaper than this, and this is the cheap off-brand that everybody complains about because it's not NERF plastic. And I don't really know what to think about that right now, except for I would rather pick up one of these for $4, mod it to hit 130 FPS because it can, and do all sorts of crazy cool stuff with it. Plus, it just looks way cooler in my opinion, so... I mean, I'm not a kid. I'm obviously not a kid. I'm an adult. I do this for a hobby, although I can see the toy side of things clearly. And this is the only blaster in the entire line I think is even remotely worth looking at. Just because of the smart AR system up here. Like, I would imagine that at some point in the future they could just double this up and give us like a little shotgun that has a double, you know, smart AR system like this for 15 bucks, and that would be a pretty decent little deal. But as it is right now, none of these initial blasters are wowing me. Some of them look pretty nifty, but there's just no potential in them, unfortunately. And I hate to say it, I don't think most of you, especially if you're watching my video, should be paying attention to the Alpha Strike line at all. But of course, you're going to disagree with me, and you're more than welcome to post that disagreement down in the comment section below. But seriously, just pick up the Adventure Force stuff or the Dark Zone stuff or anything that's way better. I'm Walcom S7, thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.